Hi, this is Dr. Matthew Garcia, USU Beef Extension Specialist again, and we are on part 6 of our managing production risk with proper bull selection. Um, Last time we talked a little bit about EPDs and gave a little background on EPDs. So what I wanted to do on this module was talk about some EPDs that might be looked at for the Intermountain West, some things you might want to look at. The first one is birth weight and calving ease. The reason I say birth weight and calving ease is the plain fact of the matter is there are a lot of times in the Intermountain West, being that we operate on such a large amount of land mass, that we're not present when those calves are born. So we need those cows to essentially do their job without us being there. Now, the other thing that we need to look at is that the reason I look at birth weight instead of calving ease in general is, if you look at the things that cause dystocia, larger birth weight, calf size, shape, malpresentation of the position of the calf, cow heifer nutrient status. These are all contributors to birth to dystocia or calving problems. But proper birth weight, really is a great tool and really a great solution to a lot of these problems. Now, selecting for that lower birth weight, means less stress on the cow, less stress on the calf, less time for uterine involution repair because it's not as a traumatic experience a lot of times. But being that the case, remember we talked a lot about multiple trait selection. So if we're going to get a smaller calf on the ground, we still need to select for growth potential if we're a cow-calf producer. Now, being that we are putting that calf down, we still need to look at all the other traits that are going to make that calf marketable or compatible with our system. That weaning weight EPD is a big one. That's something that needs to be evaluated. So it's basically, we need to get the calf on the ground, and then we need to provide resources to that cow to raise that calf. Now, that being said, we also need to select a weaning weight EPD that inherently has some growth potential for that calf himself, so that he has the ability to grow as well. Now, one of the things that I like putting up this particular slide is if you look at bull 1 and bull 2, remember EPDs are expressed in units of the trait, so we're looking at pounds here. So for birth weight, bull 1 is supposed to be almost 6 pounds heavier than the breed average for birth weight. Bull 2 is only a half pound, so there's about a 5.5 pound difference in what these calves are supposed to be, at birth. Now, if you notice, our low birth weight bull, a lot of people say, well, if you select the low birth weight bull, you can only use them on heifers. Well, if you look at this, we can actually select for a low birth weight bull. And if you compare these two bulls at winning, their genetic potential at winning, where those calves are supposed to be, they're both expected to be about 55 pounds heavier than the breed average. So in this instance, we were able to not only select for calving ease, we're also able to select for certain growth potential at winning when we're marketing. Now, the other trait we really need to look at in the Intermountain West is the milk EPD. Now, we got to remember, lactation is the highest energy requirement we can put on an animal. She's raising that calf. She just calved, so now she's going through uterine involution or repair. She still has maintenance requirements. And then during this whole time after she calves, when she's at the highest energy requirement, we're expecting her to rebreed. Now, we have to remember, milk is a unique characteristic. It's a high energy requirement, but the higher the genetic potential for milk lactation, that means that cow is also going to have a higher nutrient demand, meaning she needs to eat more in order to support that lactation and meet her maintenance requirements. Now, one of the problems we have in the Intermountain West is those cows will milk to their genetic potential, meaning that even if they're not getting the proper nutrition, they'll start taking from body condition score, their fat stores, to maintain that lactation for that calf. Now, part of the problem with that is if she drops enough body condition scores, that also means that she's not rebreeding when we need her to, even though she's raising the calf. So once again, using multiple trait selection, we can see here that between bull 1 and bull 2, same two bulls, we have what we consider a calving ease bull that's still going to wean a calf around the same size. It's going to be a little bit smaller when it comes to yearling weight or mature size correlation, but in terms of milk production, we can see this one's actually going to milk less than the breed average. Now, a negative milk EPD does not mean that animal will not milk. A low milking animal, compared to the breed average, will still raise a calf, will still produce milk, and obviously It has the same genetic potential as a higher milking animal at weaning. Now, scrotal circumference is another one we need to look at. Scrotal circumference is what we call an indicator trait. So this is a larger scrotal circumference is usually an indicator that that bull's daughters will reach puberty earlier in the production system, meaning they're ready to breed, at an early stage when we need them to. Now, animals on a lower nutrient plane, like the Intermountain West or arid environments, typically take a little bit longer time to reach puberty, because puberty is also associated with a certain percentage of weight in order to reach puberty. So at about 70%, 75% mature weight, those animals actually hit puberty. Now, our selection practices, if we look back and we start implementing multiple trait selection again, our selection practices for more moderate sized animals, means that they hit that weight a little sooner, they have lower nutrient demand, and have to reach this larger target mate. We're actually selecting females through yearling weight, scrotal circumference to actually reach that puberty in a much faster fashion in our intermountain, our limited resource environment. Now, same two bulls again, our calving ease versus our higher birth weight. You can see for a cow-calf producer we're selling at weaning, we're genetically predicted to be about the same. This bull too is going to produce heifers that are much lower milkers, but he's also going to produce heifers when compared to the first bull that are much earlier sexually maturing. So we're not only are we selecting for calving ease, marketability at weaning, moderate size at yearling, lower milk production, lower nutrient demand, we're also selecting for higher puberty or earlier puberty. Now, yearling weight, this is also strongly correlated to mature size. Increased frame size equals increased time maturity. They got to fill out that frame faster. It also means increased nutrient demand. The other thing that we've seen as we've increased frame size is there's a strong correlation with increased milk production. So now you have longer time to puberty, higher nutrient demand during lactation. Now, larger framed animals with this high milk production and energy requirements typically don't live very long or have longevity on our range programs. We have to increase supplementation. You have increased calving intervals. Typically, they tend to fluctuate more with their body condition scores as well. Now, our mature weight, our mature cow height and mature weight, once again, this is an EPD that we can look at that a lot of associations are putting out right now. And this will actually help us increase or decrease or moderate cow size in the herd. We're talking about frame size, mature size. Now, this is also directly related to maintenance requirements in the cows of the herd. So the higher the mature weight, higher mature size, higher nutrient demand. Intermountain West, we operate in a very limited environment, so we don't want these great big cows a lot of times. Now, we can actually look at mature weight from a bull standpoint on what he might actually be transmitting to our daughters. But also remember, if we have a cow herd that we think is too big, we're going to probably want to use a bull that's going to decrease or moderate that size for us, so we can keep replacements that genetically improve our mature size going forward. Now, just to kind of summarize this, because next time we're going to talk about what happens when we don't manage selection risk in our environment. And then our last module after that is going to be how to actually utilize a bull sale catalog correctly. Now, to kind of summarize what we just talked about now, we need to select for that compatible animal. Remember, multiple trait selection. We're looking for sustained performance. We're looking for longevity. We're looking for efficient performance. We want animals that are going to utilize our production resources, and we want to decrease the probability of over-supplementing an incompatible animal, meaning an animal that's fluctuating a lot in body condition score and might be increasing calving intervals as well. So next time, like I said, we'll talk about EPDs and what happens when we don't match our selection practices to our production resources. And then our last module will be actually utilizing a bull sale catalog correctly. I'll see you next time.